lost the ball. Gordon fumbles, and it's picked up. Nick Bolton, the former Missouri Tiger, with a game-changing play. A scoop and score. Dak to throw under pressure. All alone is Cedric Wilson for the touchdown.
Tannehill, Brown at the 10, Brown 5, Brown, touchdown! Oh, another trickery. This time it's back to God. Got a man. It's caught by Wright, racing to the end zone, diving! Touchdown, Detroit! Well, and it's intercepted, and that's going to be a Washington football team touchdown. High snap. Lawrence pulled it down and throws to the end zone to Marvin Jones. Did he come down, feet in bounds? He did.
Here's Cousins dropping back, looking.
He's open. Touchdown!
Keenum quickly out inside the 5 to the end zone. Touchdown, Demetric Felton.
Comes it. Touchdown! Claypool!
Tua, beautiful fake. Back in the end zone. It is caught. Waddle. Touchdown.
Simeon throwing for Smith. End zone. Did he pull it in? He did. What a touchdown for Traquan Smith.
First down, Samuel. Debo is in for the touchdown.
Watson for the end zone. Evans again. Touchdown, Tampa.
Singletary. And he corkscrews him for the touchdown.
Penny has the hole, and he breaks free. Rashawn Penny with a house call. 62-yard strike.
Play action to the end zone. Touchdown, Hunter Renfrow.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Lucky Shots podcast. This is the game day show, and guess what? It's playoff time. So what does that mean? Well, it means it's actually time where games start really meaning something. So how did we get here? We're going to look at that real quick. Some of the games last week, some of the teams, they just didn't seem like they knew that they were playing for playoff seeding or to get into the playoffs or anything like that. Some teams just completely forgot how to play football last week. And here we go. I mean, Cleveland, they beat Cincinnati 21-16. Cincinnati, that knocks them all the way down to the 4 seed. Seattle beat Arizona 38-30. Arizona, they stay at the 5 seed, but they would have been the division winners had they won that game because of the outcome of the San Francisco and Los Angeles Rams game, where San Francisco actually pulled out the win 27-24. The Rams, they still clinched the division because Arizona did not get the job done, but they fall all the way down to the 4 seed. And then on the other side, San Francisco, they locked up their spot. They really needed that win to clinch their playoff berth, and they got there. Then Miami beat New England 33-24. New England drops now to the 6th seed because of how other games proceeded to happen later on in the day. Pittsburgh beat Baltimore 16-13, and Pittsburgh claims the final wildcard spot because of these next 2 games. Jacksonville beat Indy. All Indy had to do was win against the worst team in the NFL, and they were going to the playoffs. Somehow they could not get that done. So that knocked them out of the playoffs. And honestly, if you're asking me, you might as well just go ahead and go fire the entire Colts coaching staff. How the hell do you have one game that you need to win to get into the playoffs? You get the luckiest draw of any other team. You get the worst team in the NFL, and you can't get the job done. It's just, come on, guys. It doesn't make any sense. And then the second game that Pittsburgh needed to roll one way or the other was Las Vegas and the Chargers. The Raiders beat the Chargers 35-32. That moves them all the way up into the 5 seed because New England lost, and now Pittsburgh is in there as well. So just ridiculous. I mean, I just don't understand the Colts, man. It didn't make any sense. But there was a chance that Pittsburgh didn't get into the playoffs had Vegas and the Chargers tied. And it looked very close to that happening. They went to overtime. Vegas only kicked a field goal. Chargers couldn't get their field goal. So Vegas goes ahead and wins that, puts themselves all the way up into that 5 seed. So they get actually the better of all 3 of the wild card matchups. So they will be facing the Bengals. So now let's move on real quick to look at coaches. Black Monday was this week. All these coaches got the boot. First off, Vic Fangio was fired for Denver, and it looks like Denver's just interviewing everybody. They are giving everyone a fair chance. They've interviewed Eric Bieniemy, who's Kansas City's offensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, the Philly D coordinator, Aaron Glennon, the Detroit defensive coordinator, Gerard Mayo, the New England linebackers coach, Nathaniel Hackett, Green Bay's OC, Kellen Moore, Dallas's OC, Kevin O'Connell, the Rams OC, and Dan Quinn, Dallas's defensive coordinator. So, again, they're just casting a wide net, trying to get, honestly, whoever. And as a Broncos fan, I would love to see us get a head coach that could help the offense at all. It just, I don't see that happening. We normally go with defensive guys. So, somebody like Dan Quinn, Gerard Mayo, maybe Aaron Glenn, those are probably the ones that we will have to look at more in depth. Brian Flores was fired, which was kind of surprising, and the Miami Dolphins don't have any interviews logged at the time of recording. But Brian Flores got the Dolphins to play really well at the end of the season. Honestly, everything was starting to come together for this team, and now you don't have a head coach, and you're starting back from square one at that facet. Then Matt Nagy was fired. Thank goodness. That needed to happen. Chicago's interviewing just a couple of people. Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator for Buffalo, and Doug Peterson, the former Philly head coach, is being interviewed as well. So it'd be interesting to see if he goes there. And then finally, you got Mike Zimmer. It's kind of tough, you know. They also fired their GM, but it's tough because he had just below a 500 record in the last, I think, 3 seasons, whatever it was. And this season could have played out a lot different. They were just 1 score away in every single game that they lost, except for one, that if they, you know, swing the tide and, you know, win those games, they're sitting at a pretty decent record in the playoffs, and we're probably not sitting here with Mike Zimmer and the GM fired. All right, so I'm going to scoot over just a little bit. So let's go ahead and look at each playoff picture. We will start in the AFC. You've got, the Titans sitting at the 1 seed, the Chiefs at the 2, Bills at the 3, and Bengals at the 4. So the Bengals are taking on Vegas, who is the 5 seed. Buffalo will be taking on New England, who is the 6 seed. And then Kansas City taking on Pittsburgh, who is the 7 seed. So you got the Raiders and the Bengals. Raiders won their game last week to get in against the Chargers. Cincinnati had that loss against Cleveland. So not a good look for Cincinnati going in. This game will be on a Saturday. Cincinnati and the Raiders have also played once this year. And Cincinnati, they put it to them the last time. They played 32-13 in Week 11. So it'll be interesting to see how this one goes. See if the momentum from this past week helps at all going into these games. For the Raiders, their last playoff appearance was in 2016, where they lost the Wildcard game to the Houston Texans. And for Cincinnati, it's their first playoff appearance since 2015, where they lost in the Wildcard to Pittsburgh. So both these teams haven't been in the playoffs for a while, going to be looking to go out and make a show of it, and hopefully, you know, get past the Wildcard, since the last time they were in the playoffs, they didn't get past this point. Then you got New England and Buffalo. New England coming off of their loss to Miami. So, again, momentum not going to be on their side, as Buffalo won against the New York Jets. This game's also on Saturday. It's the third game of this series. It's 1-1. Both games that have been played haven't been all that great of a show because weather has just not really cooperated. And this game being in Buffalo, weather probably not going to cooperate again. But we'll have to see if it helps out at all. For New England, they missed the playoffs last year for the first time since, I guess in 11 years. So back in the playoffs where they're kind of used to being. But this is a very young and it's a very different Patriots team. So we're going to have to see how they perform in the playoffs, especially going in against a team like Buffalo, who is fairly talented. In Buffalo last year, they made the conference championship. They lost against Kansas City, looking to probably, according to my predictions a few weeks back, I think they make it to the AFC Championship again. We'll have to see if there's a chance that they make it past that point and make it to the Super Bowl, as Jacob Montesano on our podcast just a little while ago predicted. And then you got Pittsburgh against Kansas City. Both teams, they won last week. Pittsburgh won against Baltimore. Kansas City won a pretty tight one against Denver, a game that honestly shouldn't have been tight because, you're the Chiefs. You're playing well against a team that just fired their head coach because they're not doing so well. It shouldn't have been as close of a game as it was, but they still pulled out the victory. That's going to be on Sunday night. These two teams have met before. Kansas City won 36-10 against Pittsburgh in Week 16. Kind of a shellacking of a game that week. And both teams made the playoffs last year. The Steelers lost in the wild card against Cleveland, giving Cleveland their first playoff win in quite a while. And then, Kansas City, they fell apart in the Super Bowl against Tampa Bay, so looking to rewrite what happened last year to them. On the NFC side, you got Philly going up against Tampa with Green Bay in the 1 seed. Tampa sitting in the 2 seed. Dallas sitting in the 3, and the Rams sitting in the 4. So again, Tampa Bay will be going up against Philly. Philly lost last week to Dallas fairly convincingly. So that's a big shot of morale killer right there going into the playoffs. Not the way you wanted to get in, but you still got there. Going up against Tampa, who won against Carolina, did that pretty convincingly as well. That game's going to be on Sunday, and then the last time these two teams met was in Week 6, where Tampa edged it out 28-22. So this could be a very interesting game. Maybe Philly goes out and shocks everyone, and Tampa Bay doesn't make any run at all this year, going into maybe their second Super Bowl run. Philly, they missed the playoffs last year, but in 2019 they made it to the wild card round, lost to Seattle. So looking to get a playoff win because it's been a while. And then you got Tampa Bay. They obviously won the Super Bowl last year, so looking to get there again. It's a much different look this year than it was last year. A lot of injuries, and honestly, I'm scared for Tampa because how are you going to make it work? You got a lot of pieces out. Tom Brady is going to have to get real creative with what he's got, and we'll see if they can get it done. Then you got San Francisco going up against Dallas. San Francisco, they needed to essentially win to get in because if they lost, the Saints were going to take their spot. So it was a big game against the Rams. They got it done. And then Dallas didn't really need to play for anything, but because of the way that the Rams game went, if they lost, they wouldn't have hopped over the Rams. So they got the 3 seed because they won against Philly. This game is going to be on Sunday as well. San Francisco missed the playoffs last year. The year before that, they were in the Super Bowl. So looking to kind of build back, get there. They lost against the Chiefs, but they've got a lot of weapons, a lot of things that could go right for them. So we'll see if this can be a year where they make more of a run. And then Dallas, this is their first playoff appearance since 2018, where they lost in the divisional round to the Rams. And I believe that year the Rams possibly were in the Super Bowl as well. So both these teams looking to make runs. Dallas, every year you hear the Cowboys fans saying this is our year. we'll see. They got to get past a pretty game San Francisco team to start, so we'll see how that goes for them. And then finishing off the wild card week, we got Arizona and the Rams. Arizona lost against Seattle last week. The Rams lost against San Francisco. Game's going to be on Monday night, and the season series is tied at 1 apiece. So they definitely chose the best game to put on Monday night. My problem is Arizona going to go out and just kind of play the way that they played the second half of the season? Because it has not been impressive. The Rams have been up and down. Which team is going to be able to, overtake the other? Or are both of them going to, start gaining momentum? And we're just going to have a crazy game like we saw on Sunday night with the Raiders and the Chargers. So for Arizona, this is their first playoff appearance since 2015, where they lost in the conference championship to the Carolina Panthers, who's then lost to the Broncos in the Super Bowl. So it's been quite a while, 7 years now. So they're probably hungry to get something going. And, J.J. Watt, he came to Arizona specifically because he thought this team was this close to a Super Bowl run. Well, they're on the doorstep now. We're going to have to see if it happens. And then the Rams. It's a new-look Rams. Matt Stafford looked fantastic this year. Cooper Kupp was probably the best player in the whole league. At least he was in fantasy. So this is just an explosive offense, a really good defense. So it's going to be a clash of the Titans on Monday night. It'll be fun to see. The Rams, by the way, lost in the divisional round last year to the Green Bay Packers. So they're going to be looking to right the ship as well. But it's gonna be interesting, last week was interesting with everybody getting in and how they got in, the teams that lost. Just exciting football, and this week should be no different. I like a lot of these matchups. The Raiders and the Bengals should be a pretty competitive game. New England and Buffalo, it's been 2 competitive games throughout the season. Philly and Tampa was a competitive game the first time. San Francisco and Dallas. San Francisco coming off a huge win. Dallas coming off 2 big wins. And then Arizona and the Rams. Another divisional game with the season series tied. 2 really good teams. We're going to have to see how that goes, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Don't forget, tomorrow there will be the Fantasy Award Show. Hopefully it's going to be, this big spectacle. That's what I'm going to aim for. So don't forget to tune in for that. You'll see all the player awards, some of the biggest performances of the week. Like you heard at the beginning of this show, it's going to be a bit longer of an intro, but it'll be all the top plays from this past season. So it's going to be, something different, something fun to watch. So don't forget to tune in for that. And then on Friday, should have a show with Dylan Corbett. We'll talk playoffs, see where you set your bets, and see how it'll go for you. But that is it for today. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow.